When you finally choose to do the work, I'm talking the deep work, the healing, the feeling, allowing yourself to be present with the emotions that rise up within you instead of finding distractions from them, it can be really challenging to find your progress, to really see how you're progressing. Like, is this even working? It's so easy to want to throw in the towel and feel discouraged, especially when you're seeing other people out there maybe getting strong connections to their guides and channeling and things like that. So at that stage of your journey, it is so, so important to trust that you are building a solid foundation of growth. You are creating space within your body to allow consciousness to expand. That means more of your higher self is landing. Before I get rolling, though, I want to give a thank you or shout out to Sean Leprechaun for the super thanks. I am so, so grateful. Thank you so much. So, this path is an interesting one because a lot of times we're striving and we're reaching for all of the gold, for all of the magic, all the external experiences out there. And when we dive in and start doing the heavy work, like shadow work and experiencing the trauma and feeling the trauma, the stuff that's never been processed, the stuff that for years you've buried away into your subconscious and deep into your body, when you finally decide to reveal that and feel it and reclaim all that energy, it seems like we disconnect from all of that magic that we've had. Like, where have our guides gone? How come they're not communicating with me like they were before? But the process unfolds in a way that if the magic isn't dimmed, at least temporarily, or you feel like you're being cut off from it, you're never going to go in and face the heavy stuff. That heavy stuff, that dense energy, that emotional baggage that you're carrying within your body is preventing you from really elevating your consciousness in big, big ways. Maybe you had a connection with your guide. Maybe you were a channeler. Maybe you were a medium. You're operating from a bandwidth of frequency that's here. But if you don't dive in underneath that and create the space and ground more of your higher self, you're going to stay right at that level of consciousness. So, how do we elevate? We reclaim the space that's been taken up by the trauma. It's dense energy that's stored within your body. You can certainly feel it if you give yourself the opportunity to do so. You could feel the aches, you could feel the pains, you could feel maybe the fatigue or the tiredness, the lack of motivation starts to come up in thoughts, right? Maybe some fear of success or failure, maybe some anxiety, whatever that looks like for you. That's how the stuck energy manifests in your life. So when that starts to come up, we start to maybe want to avoid feeling it, right? Your higher self is showing it to you and saying, hey, this is in the way. We've got to process this. How do we process it? We feel it, we sit with it, we pull it into presence, pull it into the heart space, we connect up with love, and we just allow it to be, right? But we refuse to do that. It's like we bounce off and back up into this bandwidth of consciousness that makes us feel good. So maybe we turn in a new direction instead to find something to distract us so that we don't have to feel the heaviness, the heavy emotions, right? And I call that false light. Those are the things that keep distracting you from here to there, right? We avoid the heavy emotions. We turn away from the heaviness. We don't honor it. We don't accept what's being shown to us. And if we continue to go down that path, your life looks just the same. It's going to look like bouncing around from things to thing to make you feel better in the moment. And if you notice those things that you bounce around to, maybe you'll find the next best thing that's going to make you feel good. If it's a material thing, maybe you want to go out and buy a new car. I've talked about this before, a new house, or maybe go on a new trip, another trip, something like that, right? The shiny new thing, because that's going to elevate you from the gravity that's pulling you into your body to feel the heavy emotions, right? Stuff starts to come up. Maybe you feel depressed. It's like, oh, I'm going to go on another trip. That's going to make me feel good. So you get excited about it, right? You go on the trip, you come back from the trip, and all of a sudden, the same feeling set back in. So what do? Look for the next thing. Well, what happens when you've traveled the world and it's like scratching your head? Now, what am I going to do? Okay, well, I'm going to go buy something else. I'm going to go move. I'm going to buy a new house, whatever. Those are the types of things that come up to distract you. And the more you bounce around in that bandwidth of consciousness there and resist diving into the deep stuff, the more you really hold yourself back, and it just brings forward a feeling of unfulfillment, right? We've heard the stories a million times. People that are in their 70s, in their 80s, they look back in their lives. What would you have done differently? I would have been more present, more in the moment, and I would have focused less on the distracting stuff. Maybe for some, like a workaholic, it was work, it was career, right? They felt they were advancing or furthering themselves by being busy all the time, right? Maybe I would have done, a little less of this or a little less of that. Okay. Maybe people say I would have done more traveling, whatever it is. There's lots of things that come up when they're looking back on their life and saying, okay, I would have done more of this, more of that. Maybe they didn't travel because they had a fear of traveling, right? So you overcome that fear, that's that emotion that maybe you're avoiding, it's controlling you, right? So you're in the comfort of your home, right? That prevents you from getting out and experiencing things. So it works both ways. It works from both ends. Not only is it just finding things to distract you, it could be staying stuck or feeling stuck because fear is keeping you from getting out and experiencing life. So the message there is we want to have experiences. We don't want to have distractions. Okay. So when we can get centered and we can get present, we can feel the dense emotions that are rising up within us. We could then decide to do things from an aligned perspective. I want to go travel because I want to experience that, right? I'm not going to travel because I'm feeling depressed and I want to distract myself. Okay, so there's a distinction there. It's a little distinction, but there is a distinction. It's really a lot bigger than you would think. So when we could start to live from a more present perspective and start to allow ourselves to feel these emotions, something magical happens, right? Maybe we're not experiencing all of the spiritual stuff for the moment. That goes away because you're being guided inward. You're being guided in to feel this. So we start to feel it and something happens, right? We create space and more of your higher self drops in. You have some more activations, more DNA comes online. New starts to come forward for you, right? Maybe confidence. Maybe you're doing breath work. You're working in the solar plexus. Okay. And you're becoming more worthy, more confident. New opportunities start to open up, opportunities that are fulfilling because you're a more aligned, higher frequency version of you. Why? How? Because you've decided to sit with the dense, heavy emotions that were keeping your solar plexus blocked, right? You finally decided to do this. So instead of becoming these feelings of just not being happy or depressed or unfulfilled or not worthy and going out to distract yourself, you're accepting the challenge. You're diving in. You're committing to your growth. You're diving in. You're feeling it. You're embodying these emotions. You're feeling them. They're vibrating faster, right? The density is being released. They're coming up through your field and you're observing them, right? From a detached perspective. It's just energy. We label it good or we label it bad, right? It's just dense energy. The mind wants to say it's anxiety, it's fear, it's depression, whatever it is, whatever manifests for you, it's dense energy. Do you have the presence of mind and the commitment to sit and allow that energy to be felt? Can you breathe with it? Can you pull it into the heart space? Can you love it? Right? Can you anchor further in your body, get more stable in its presence? It just wants to be seen. The reason it's been stuck is because you have refused to see it. Your ego didn't want to let it out because it doesn't feel good. It wants to keep you safe, right? But we're taking control now, right? The ego's in the passenger seat. We get into the body. We breathe with this energy. We allow it to be seen. We allow it to be felt. And we release it. It just moves through. And as that energy moves out, new comes in, higher frequency light. And we start to get directed by our guidance. We start to get in tune with our intuition, and we start to get new ideas. New things come forward that excite us. Maybe nothing you've done recently excites you anymore because there's new on tap. You just have to get in the body, feel whatever's blocking it, and allow that new to start to come through. And I assure you, if you do that, it will come through. It will come through. Okay, that's exactly what my a New You Transformation Intensive program does. Teaches you how to get into the body and build that foundation so that all that magic, all that newness of you, and when I say magic, I mean being stable, being anchored, being able to tackle situations, handle situations that previously would have kept you small. When you get to the point where you can start to do that, your energy is flowing, a whole new world or level of consciousness opens up. That's a gateway to new earth. The gateway's in here. It's not up there. Okay. So if you're interested or want to learn how to transform your life, definitely reach out to me and I'll get you a link for a free discovery call. Okay. So we don't want to get to the end of life and look back and have regrets because we had fear, we were afraid, or we distracted ourselves from something that our higher self was showing us. We want to get in and we want to have the courage, we want to have the strength, we want to have the support to be able to feel these emotions so that we can create the space, drop in more of our higher self and elevate our frequency. That's the life-changing stuff. That's the reality-changing stuff. You start to manifest then a reality that's in alignment with a higher frequency. You don't continue to experience the same stuff that's been keeping you down. That old reality existed because those were the emotions that were active within you, but they were subconscious. You were afraid to feel them. So we want to get present, allow them to come up, make them conscious. Make them conscious and feel them and let them move through. That's the true path to heal. We turn away from the distractions. We bring it inside. We feel all the stuff. We let go of all the baggage. When we drop the baggage, we rise in frequency. If this video resonated with you, watch this one next. Be so grateful. Thank you.